According to a study published by BMC Public Health, there was no statistically significant difference on infant mortality rates pre- and post-Dobbs between states with and without abortion bans. The infant mortality rate remained unchanged in states with pro-life protections, and maternal morbidity actually increased significantly in pro-abortion states and remained unchanged in states with pro-life protections. Maternal morbidity means any mild to severe health problem that is short or long-term, resulting from being pregnant or giving birth. Dr. Ingrid Skop, a board-certified OBGYN and Vice President and Director of Medical Affairs at the Charlotte Lozier Institute, came by our Washington, D.C. studios to talk about this study. Can you weigh in on these findings?
Yes, and as you said, for background, since the Dobbs decision, there's been a fear-mongering narrative to try to frighten women and the public that these laws are going to harm women. And at Charlotte Lozier, we've been predicting the opposite. We think there's many reasons that these laws will protect women. And imagine the irony of saying that laws are going to cause infants to die when in fact these laws are going to protect their lives before birth from abortion. But as we predicted, now that the data is starting to come out, we discovered this study showed there was no increase in infant mortality. The CDC has likewise documented that there's been no increase in maternal mortality from the year 2022 to 2023. And in this study, severe maternal morbidity, which is where a woman is harmed but does not die, stayed the same in pro-life states, but it actually rose in pro-abortion states.
Wow. What do you think led to that rise?
Well, I think there's many reasons to expect pro-life laws, not just to protect that unborn child, to protect his mother as well. And doctors can provide high-quality care without performing abortions. And so that narrative needs to be debunked. But in this case, you know, every state allows an exception that permits a doctor to do whatever he needs to do to protect a mother's life in the event of a true obstetric emergency. But caring for women does not involve abortion, and these pro-abortion states, perhaps they're just not caring for women as well.
I think that would follow very likely. Now, one of the things we've been seeing, as you mentioned, is that the pro-abortion narrative has kind of taken over the mainstream media. What do you think can be done on the pro-life side to counter this narrative?
Well, it's very important to educate the public because people tend to believe what they've been told, and so much of the media is pro-abortion. And I'm sad to say that so many of the mainstream medical organizations are pro-abortion as well. So they've been driving the narrative. They've been publishing peer-reviewed papers predicting that maternal mortality was going to increase, infant mortality was going to increase. But now that we're starting to get actual data, we're finding that the opposite was the case, and that our predictions, in fact, have seemed to be more in line with reality, and that is that these laws are protecting women and are protecting their infants.
It's great to see that the truth always shines through, huh?
Yes, absolutely.
And can you tell us, what are the leading causes of death for pregnant mothers?
You know, most people think about a catastrophic event in childbirth, but that's actually only about a quarter of the maternal deaths. We recently have discovered that the #1 cause of maternal deaths is mental health complications, suicides, substance overdoses. And we know that with abortion that many women suffer mental health complications afterwards. So again, by protecting women from the violence of abortion, we will be protecting them from some of these mental health complications. Another thing that happens is that women in our country increasingly are not very healthy. And it's the women who are obese, hypertensive, diabetic, older moms, moms living in poverty. These are the women that are at much higher risk. But of course, we can address those issues with education, with better prenatal care, and we don't need to offer abortion as a solution. Likewise, with infant mortality, the #1 cause is complications from preterm birth. And many studies have demonstrated that surgical abortion increases the risk of prematurity in a subsequent pregnancy. So again, by protecting women from abortion, we're going to be protecting their subsequent children from the elevated risk of preterm birth.
That's incredible. Now, you mentioned education as a possible countermeasure to, I was thinking specifically like obesity, because we know that's a problem here in our nation. How long do you think educational programs would take to begin to take effect in our culture?
Well, we need to start. So again, instead of promoting these false narratives that are designed to turn people against pro-life laws, we need to talk about what the real causes of maternal mortality are. And so, you know, obviously we do need to be talking, the MAHA movement, I think, is addressing this. Let's get Americans across the board healthier, but specifically women that want to become pregnant. Let's make sure they're very healthy before they obtain a pregnancy. And also we need to be talking to women about the fact that you can't wait until you're 45 and then use IVF and expect to have as good an outcome as if you'd had your baby at age 25. So, you know, we really need to change our expectations, I think, about what motherhood and pregnancy should look like. But we can get there. Yeah. We know the answers, and the answer is not widespread abortion. There's so many better ways we can care for women.
Amen. Well, Dr. Skop, thank you so much for being here with us today, and thank you for the work that you're doing.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.